1630 Edo. In a time of peace, poverty and unemployment are rife, and some men presenting as samurai request the opportunity to perform harakiri in renowned lords' homes, only to extort their wealthy host for money and food. In a time of desperation, Tsukumo Hanshiro arrives at the Yoi clan's home, requesting the opportunity to perform harakiri in their courtyard. Hanshiro is informed by Saito Kageyu of a previous samurai who made a similar appeal, Motome Chijiwa, a samurai who arrived with bamboo blades, and how his attempt to swindle the estate of money came at a costly price. Harakiri with the blunt weapons, a grisly spectacle, and a disregard for Chijiwa's honour. As Tsukumo prepares for his own harakiri ceremony, he asks for a second. 3 names are suggested, none present. To Saito's disgust, Tsukumo is about to unveil a revelation that will cement his character within Japanese cinematic history. This is Masaki Kobayashi's Harakiri, highly regarded as one of the greatest samurai dramas of all time, a film which requires first-time viewers to watch it knowing absolutely nothing beforehand for the utmost effective emotional impact. Tsukumo's story needs to be heard for ourselves. Harakiri still retains its ability to shock and disturb, unflinching in its grisly violence and unrestrained in its layered devastation, hidden behind Tsukumo's initial ruse as a samurai intending to take his own life. Masaki Kobayashi reinforces his reputation as one of Japanese cinema's masters with the confident proficiency he demonstrates within his film's subtle foreshadowing, as well as its equally lofty yet intimate reflections on mortality, failure, and the facade of honour and reputation, universal reflections that resonate deeply with viewers even today, demanding we rely more on our human empathy rather than societal hierarchies to express compassion towards those less fortunate than ourselves. Early on, viewers may pick up on certain clues that indicates that there is something more to Tsukumo's appearance as a samurai intending to perform harakiri. He refuses the house's ceremonial robes, an action in which he denies the Yoi clan's notion of a respectable ceremony. Tsukumo tells Saito, as he uncovers the depths of his personal story, that what befalls the less fortunate today may befall the Lord tomorrow, a caution that hierarchy is a construct that can be dismantled. Tsukumo even mentions how lives are like houses built on sand, in which a single wind can change it all. The story Tsukumo is planning to unveil for those who listen is a warning that all they hold dear, reinforced conventions of honour, reputation and power, can be taken away from them if misfortune so chooses. Masaki Kobayashi's mastery as a filmmaker isn't just demonstrated in the spectacle of blistering sword fights and the plummeting depths of tragedy, but how he understands these experiences impacts his protagonist's worldview, how living informs Tsukumo's outlook towards the Yoi clan and any other pompous lord and house which willingly ignores humanity in favour of their own superiority. Even first-time viewers of Harakiri will likely recognise Tsukumo's subtle gestures as an indication that his character hides something much more than the eye can see. Human struggle and mortality are essential motifs within Harakiri. Humans are flawed beings, and we can only handle so much pressure before it inevitably takes its toll. Within Kobayashi's classic, struggle leads to desperation. Chijiwa's reluctant harakiri with bamboo blades is the result of a man pushed to his limits financially, unable to support his sick wife and child, Tsukumo's daughter and grandson, on the meagre earnings gathered from teaching children and selling his belongings. In any other circumstance, he would not seek to plead for food, shelter, or money from a lord under the facade of performing harakiri. And yet, as a man in desperate times, his plan is disrupted by the push to press forward with the harakiri ceremony he requested. Tsukumo questions Saito and his followers. If pleading is loathsome to them, what would they do in Chijiwa's situation? It's a damning question that even the viewer is invited to ponder. In times of great financial struggle, realistically considering the possibility that our loved ones may die, that we may die, that the world as we know it may crumble, can we fairly judge Chijiwa for his attempted extortion of those wealthier than himself when all other possibilities have been exhausted? If extreme poverty and sickness in times of peace are not resolved, then are we ever truly in times of peace? We can't judge Chijiwa for his struggle. Many of us can sympathise. Maybe some viewers have experienced similar circumstances, and yet, even beyond Chijiwa's death, friction endures. People remain poor, death closes in, while the most callous among the privileged can feign ignorance, maybe even providing the cruel weapons in which to intensify the suffering of others. For Chijiwa, it was his bamboo blades. But in a wider modern society, it can be the restriction of healthcare, the cancellation of financial support, and the eviction of homes. Harakiri offers an emotional resonance because many who have struggled in poverty understand Chijiwa's pain, even if we don't share the literal circumstances within his era. Therefore, considering this, Tsukumo's proposition for humanizing compassion over superficial notions of reputation, honor, and respectability is immensely poignant. Tsukumo intends to fulfill his promise of Harakiri, but he is not doing it to atone for a crime, or to retain any sense of honor. He is an understandably bitter, furious man, hoping that within his quiet rage and lived experience, he can at least evoke some sense of compassion, empathy, humanity out of Saito and his cohorts. However, the outcome is pessimistic, which Roger Ebert concisely explains why, within his review of the film. Fanatic adherence to codes of honor, by granting them a value greater than life itself, sets up a situation where humanist values are forbidden. So stringent is the Yoi clan in their ideas of honor, they find it disturbingly effortless to disregard any sense of empathy towards people less fortunate than themselves. A chilling reminder of the consequence of privilege, the ease in disregarding the dire circumstances of others. This amplifies a grand irony that the house is unable to hide. They have no honour in their inability to recognise why people lie or steal, becoming extortionists to survive, and their perceived reputation deserves a metaphoric harakiri if they cannot admit their own errors in forcing the unfortunate to experience great physical pain for their adversities. Tsukumo magnifies this even further. Samurai honor is the facade, reinforced in the revelation that Tsukumo has the top knots of some of Saito's most important men, who'd rather remain dishonest to their leader than be seen without the tuft of hair. Masaki Kobayashi also utilizes other imagery to reinforce the emptiness of honor, specifically the cherished armor of the Yoi clan's ancestors, placed on a pedestal but completely void of anything inside. This armor is pushed aside and overthrown during Tsukumo's final onslaught. Whether he defeats his enemies or not is not as significant as the blow he deals to the clan's reputation. Like the armour, it'll fall, tattered, and rely on a facade of dishonest respectability to repair its own wounds. Empty gestures, an illusion obscuring their truest form. Masaki Kobayashi's film proposes that any notion of honour, importance, or power is completely pointless when these conventions are upheld at the cost of humanist concern. If you sacrifice your own humanity for power, then were you ever truly human to begin with? In conclusion, Masaki Kobayashi's Harakiri, a masterful classic not only of samurai cinema, but of the world of filmmaking, is a damning condemnation of the cost of our humanity. When we cherish systems of honour and reputation over compassion and empathy, Harakiri is grisly on the surface, with its shocking spectacles of blood splatter and clenched teeth, enduring the most unimaginable physical pain for the torturous pleasure of the privileged. And due to the cautionary message of the film, Harakiri continues to endure amongst all who watch it. By the end of Harakiri, if we don't learn to become more empathetic, both for the plights of Chijiwa and the suffering of our fellow person, then we've ultimately learned nothing. A special thank you to my incredible tier Patreon supporter Gil, and to my super tier Patreon supporters Constantin Bombele, Jamie, and Anthony R.